and sits on the ground and plays with toys left there for Corey by strangers from all over the world. This makes me so sad, watching Brianna watch her daughter play at Corey's resting place. Corey wanted a baby sister so bad, and now she's here, but he's not, and Chris Gregor is the reason he isn't here. I often wonder what or how we will explain to my granddaughter that Corey isn't here. Do we tell her his father killed him, so then she can wonder if that's what daddies do? Your Honor, Corey also wanted a father, but instead he got this monster who ridiculed him, deprived him of food, love, compassion, and beat him and abused him daily until his final beating on April 2nd, 2021. Your Honor, Corey knew he was going to die. On the Sunday prior to Corey's death, just 5 days before his death, Corey was at my house and preparing to take a bath. When he undressed, he was covered in bruises in various stages of healing. One stuck out because it was very large, and it was on the left side of his chest. I had to turn away so Corey didn't see the tears in my eyes. Once Corey was dressed, we sat in my bed. Corey looked at me and he said, "Hey, Gima, does God see what my daddy does to me?" I told him God sees everything. His voice got very low. He said, "Why doesn't he help me?" My heart was breaking as I told him that God was helping someone else who needed him more right now. Corey then asked why his daddy wasn't going to hell. And I replied, "He will someday." That same Sunday, Corey was outside writing with chalk on the sidewalk. Later in the day, Brianna and I noticed that Corey had written, "I died," near our front door. Corey's curiosity about God, heaven, and death grew prior to his death. On April 2nd, when Corey was getting ready to go back to Chris Gregor's house, I told him, "Take my cell phone and hide it and call when, not if, when his dad beats him." He said, "Gima, I can't." I told him to run to a neighbor, to which he replied, "I can't," his little face so serious. Corey knew nobody could help him. He knew he was going to die, and he accepted it. Your Honor, my conversation with Corey 5 days prior to his death and the day of his death will forever haunt me. My family was not allowed to be with Corey as he took his last breath because this man wouldn't tell us where Corey was. We weren't allowed to see Corey after he passed at the hospital because he was now evidence. My 6-year-old grandson was dead and now labeled evidence. This is what I have to live with every single day. Corey was taught in preschool by a lovely teacher, Kristen Oyen, that actions have consequences. Please teach this man that his actions have consequences. On May 1st, 2014, Corey Travis Micciolo was born. I was there holding Brianna's hand, and I was there to cut Corey's umbilical cord. When he was placed in my arms for that very first time, I whispered, "Hi, baby. I'm your grandma. I'll love you and protect you forever." Your Honor, I wasn't able to keep my promise to protect Corey, so I'm begging you to give Chris Gregor the harshest punishment possible today. Corey Travis Micciolo loved the solar system, He loved to draw. He loved his mommy and his family. He was smart and funny. He loved helping others. Corey wanted a daddy, but instead, he got this monster, Chris Gregor. Your Honor, please give Corey justice today. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, ma'am. Ms. Lento.
Thank you, Judge. I believe that Corey's mother would also like to address the court.
All right, please come on up. Please watch your step. Again, you can use your initials, your full name.
Brianna Mitchell.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Your Honor, my name is Brianna Micciolo, and I appear before you today not only as a grieving mother, but also an advocate for justice. On behalf of my son, Corey, I stand here before you to plead for justice that Corey rightfully deserves, and to press for the maximum sentence of Christopher Gregor, whose actions have inflicted irreparable harm in our lives. For you to fully understand the gravity of the situation, I will flash back to the July of 2013. This day marks the beginning of a traumatic journey defined by manipulation, abuse, and ultimately an unspeakable loss. At 16, I first met the defendant, who was 21 at the time. He proceeded to feed me drugs, alcohol, and took complete advantage of me, which led to the conception of Corey. From day one of my pregnancy, I knew I would keep Corey, regardless of the way he was conceived. Corey didn't ask to be brought into this world, and I knew I owed it to him to bring him into this world with unconditional love. Corey was and still is my life, my world, and my everything. I would also like to speak about my past, which I am not 100% proud of. You heard a lot about it throughout the trial, and so did a lot of the world. It was very upsetting for that to come out because I've worked extremely hard for many years to be where I am today. I admit I abused drugs, but during the trial it was made out that for some reason my son deserved to be killed because his mom was a drug addict. That is absolutely disgusting. I stand here today clean and sober, and I know Corey would be so proud of me. Unfortunately, my son is no longer here to tell his story, so I'm here to be his voice and tell his story along with all the others sitting in the gallery who have continued to stand by me. Not once have you seen the defendant shed a tear for Corey in the last 3.5 years since he killed him, and today was fake. I don't believe a word he said, and I don't accept any apologies. He has no remorse for any of the actions he committed, and his only remorse, like you saw today, was for himself because he got caught and convicted. Another reason I could think of is, everything he had done to Corey was done out of spite towards me. Another reason I could think of is he's sick in the head and used Corey as his punching bag. On April 2nd of 2021, it was not the first time that he abused Corey, but it was the last time. He never had an ounce of love for Corey. And to the defendant, Corey was just an inconvenience in his life. He never hugged him. He never praised him. He never told him he was proud of him or that he did a good job. He punished Corey every chance that he could get, and I cannot even begin to imagine what my son dealt with behind closed doors with this man. On April 2nd of 2021, I hesitantly dropped Corey off at the defendant's home, which is a mistake that will haunt me for the rest of my life. I kissed my son goodbye unknowingly for the last time. I wish I knew what was going to happen and I would never let him go. At 3 p.m. the same day, I received a phone call from the defendant where he stated Corey was very sick and he was taking him to the hospital, and then hung up on me after he asked for my insurance card. As an extremely concerned mother, I called him back with no answer and continued to do so along with texts for hours to find out where Corey was and what was going on. For those few hours, my mother and I called every hospital in the area with no luck. The very last hospital finally said he was there. Then there was a knock on the door. It was our local police there to tell me Corey had passed away. my healthy 6-year-old boy who was just alive and well with me a few hours ago is dead. My heart dropped and my whole body collapsed from the shock that took over my whole body. I was unable to breathe. My mind was racing, and I felt like I was no longer inside my body. All I remember is screaming that they had the wrong child because Corey was fine this morning. I actually convinced myself that it wasn't him and they had the wrong kid for a while. My next question was, where is Chris? I needed to know what happened, and he was nowhere to be found until the next day, when I found out he was in Tennessee. No one was able to tell me what happened to Corey except Corey died at the hospital. I couldn't even see my son until late.
All right, these victim impact statements are as powerful as they get. We've heard from the child's grandfather, grandmother. We're hearing from the mother now. You know, the grandmother said a number of significant things, but one of the things she said was that Corey Micciolo knew he was going to die, actually wrote, "I died" in chalk in front of their house. Very moving, very compelling. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to hear more of Brianna Micciolo's statement when we come back.